everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Slated Double Features podcast with your hosts, Joshua Francisco Mitchell and Matthew Vivian. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I'm all right. My voice is a bit better now. It was awful last week, and I'm sorry about all the coughing, but it's a lot better now.
You just sound like a grizzled man now.
I do, yeah. I just sound gruff and sexy.
And we're not releasing any pictures of you, so our audience can imagine the gruff, grizzly man that you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, really.
No, you wouldn't. How are you, Joshua? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I have a job starting in 2 weeks, which is very exciting.
I don't think you told me what it actually is. What is the job?
It is a period drama being shot at Pinewood, which is very nice because it's...
What, a film?
I'm not too sure. It's for 4 months, so I would assume
That's
so.
Good.
So it's over the Christmas period, and presumably doesn't have any SAG cast in, with it being shot over here.
Must still be British, I'm guessing.
So
then, yeah.
I think I've been very lucky to get on this that dodges all of the strikes happening at the minute, similarly to you and the job you've just got off of.
Hopefully I can get something like that. I've got 1 day lined up. On Thursday, I'll be working on Doctors before it's cancelled, and that's it.
That's really good, though. That's really good. I mean, you must have a little nest egg kind of squirreled away after working for 8 months or whatever. So
yeah, well, it's very good because it means I get to do my own stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still, please hire me someone.
But it's all in Pinewood. I've only ever been to Leavesden before, so I've never been to Pinewood. So that's very exciting.
I've been to Pinewood when I was 14, something like that. Just because my dad won like some Amazon voucher to go on a presenting course, and so I went just because it. Well, he could choose a voucher what it was for, and he chose that because it was a Pinewood, and I was a big Star Wars fan, so I went there just to see the sets.
That's really cool.
And so we did that course, which is quite good, and then we just sort of walked around during a lunch break, and I had a look at all the sets.
Wow.
And, you can't take photos and stuff; you get kicked out immediately. But I went home and drew them all and showed them to my mates, and so I saw like. The ruins of like Maskanata's castle, and I saw when it was like half polystyrene still being painted, and I saw the village from the start, which I assumed was Tatooine, but it's Jakku. I saw a few little things that I don't know what they were, I couldn't really identify them, but yeah, that's pretty cool. But that's the only time I've ever been to Pinewood, like 10 years ago, when they were filming Force Awakens.
So you sent me through some dates for a little something you've got planned very shortly. What's occurring there?
Well, because I'm working on a feature, as you know, Mayfly, that's so horrible to edit. We've filmed all of it. We might have to do a little bit of reshooting, but we just need to edit that. And editing a feature is really hard work when you're not an editor, really. And so
on a laptop that can't handle it and all of that fun stuff.
But I'm on a second laptop now. I'm on an older laptop, but it's got less on it, so it's not quite as terrible. But it's still a case of you're editing blind and you have to export to actually see what you've just done.
That's industry standard, though, so it's to have a newer laptop and an older laptop just to view it on.
See, I'm doing that, but I wanted to get something out this year because that won't make it this year. So I'm doing a little short. I'll keep you updated. Should be a fun little thing. Josh will be working on it.
I will be. Very exciting little Christmassy...
Like a little mockumentary short about elves in the North Pole.
I've read the script. It's very funny.
Good. That's what we want to hear.
And you said you've casted already?
If they're free. Then if not, we'll get other people.
Sick. As Ali Keelan coming back?
I don't have any plans for Ali, but he really wants to be in it. So we'll sort something out.
He's got to turn up.
I don't know who. He might play the dad at the end, maybe.
If Ali turns up at the end, can he be my dad?
Okay.
Can I be his son?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
We can do that. We can make that work.
So Ali, we've got this in recording now. So when it happens, or if it doesn't happen, we can take Matt to court.
Yeah.
Legally, we can sue him over this.
Cool. Shall we do this Letterboxd roundup?
Yeah, I think we should drop Letterboxd, and this should just be our weekly roundup.
Okay, don't give him a name check. Yeah.
We've done Letterboxd like the first 3.
We don't even plug our letterboxes. Well, our accounts.
I know,
because mine was my name, and then I thought, well, now I work in the industry, I don't want to slag off a film that people I know have worked hard on, and so I changed it to be anonymous. So it kind of defeats the point of us calling it Letterboxd roundup if we don't say what my account name is.
So this is our weekly roundup. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
What have you seen? What have you watched?
Do you want to go first? Because I've watched one thing, and I know you've also seen it, and we'll discuss it.
Okay, right. What have I watched? I've seen the first episode of Invincible.
Okay.
Have you seen the first series?
Nope. But you've told me before it's really great. Lots of people have told me it's really great. Ali loves it.
Yes.
I will watch it.
Watch it. So I'm sure the majority of people listening have seen Invincible. Amazon Prime animated series based on the comic book of the same name.
That's why I don't watch it, because I'm not a child. I watch live action things. I watch live action Disney remakes. I do not watch the originals because I'm not a child. I like to watch real 3-dimensional people because my brain has the capacity to witness 3-dimension and comprehend what's going on. I don't need to watch flat images.
There have been rumours of a film being made of it featuring real people.
Okay, I might watch that.
But we don't have that yet. But it has Stephen Yeun as Mark Grayson, Invincible, Sandra Oh as his mum, J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man, who is our Superman-esque figure. Great cast, just great voice cast all around. Yeah, and the second series has kicked off with a bang. Like immediately, you can tell the quality of animation's better. It's got more money behind it, and it's looking to be a very good series. I'm very excited to see what happens next episode.
Good. I do want to see it. I definitely should do, because I believe it's fairly similar to The Boys, and I'm a huge fan of The Boys. Speaking of
The Boys, the one thing you have watched.
The one thing I have watched is Gen V, the spin-off of The Boys. So I watched, when the first episode came out, I watched the first half, and then it got to the bit where she shrunk herself down and was straddling, and then I was like, I don't want my mum to come in the room. I'm going to stop watching this now. And then I didn't watch any until last night. I was like, let's get back to Gen V. And then I watched the whole series last night and the last two this morning. Great show. Really, really loved it.
Yes.
I love The Boys.
Good.
I mean, The Boys is one of my favourite shows. Awful fan base, because loads of like right-wing people don't seem to understand that it's taking the piss out of them, and Homelander is the villain.
Like agreeing with Homelander, very much like the group of people who agree with Rorschach in Watchmen. Like, you're kind of missing the point that you agree with this kind of person.
I don't understand how you can have that smoother brain that you don't even recognise that it's clearly a parody. But
it's the Borat of superhero film.
Yeah, it's not that it's just against like right wing, but the show, The Boys, and very much also Gen V. The whole point of it is against like big corporations that are like pretending to have your back, and so like Vought is extremely pro-American to get the right, and also like oh, Queen Maeve is our favourite lesbian to get the like it's the fact they don't care at all, but it's just for money, and it's just that's what it's a play on, even though it's made by Amazon, so it's a
well, that's the irony, isn't it?
That is a bit ironic, like, but that's the case with every single film.
making the Barbie film.
Yeah. It's the same with every piece of media ever. Like Gen V was great.
I mean, non spoilers. Yeah, it would be nice to do maybe an episode on it, actually, a TV one on it. But it's very good. If you enjoyed The Boys, it's just more of The Boys.
It's more of The Boys, yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah, but
I know people have been complaining about it, but I love The Boys, and I think it's very clever. Similar in a way to Invincible.
Yeah.
That they ride on the superhero coattail, but subvert it and make it their own, which is what really stands out.
No, it's very good.
And Carl Urban's accent is always great.
Well, yeah, it's iconic. I wouldn't say it's accurate. But no, yeah, because I was a bit worried with Gen V. Like the character, it doesn't have. Part of the reason I love The Boys is I love the characters. I love the Seven, and I love The Boys, and you know, obviously they're not in Gen V. It's just some students, but yeah, I think the characters are really great. I was really into it. It had a good mystery. I thought episodes like 5 and 6 was a bit like it's slowing down a bit now, but there's a bit where they all lose their memories, and then they spend like a whole episode trying to get them back, and it's like, well, just delete the episode then and just have them always remember. I don't think it'll particularly achieve much, but
they need to hit that quota. I mean, the only issue I had was I thought the actor who played Marie Monroe was a bit weaker than the rest of the cast.
I thought she was good. I thought
she was a bit cardboard.
No, I think the character was just more stoic than the others, really. I wouldn't put out her. I thought she was good. I thought everyone was good. The friend, Emma, was very good.
Emma, very good. I wish there was more Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Which I could say about anything he's in.
I only found out the other day he voiced Mr. Krabs, because I saw the live action thing they did, and I was like, why is Clancy Brown playing Mr. Krabs? He was in Ahsoka.
He's great.
He voiced the character in Rebels, and he played him in live action in Ahsoka as well.
What else has he done? Shawshank, Starship Troopers, just loads. What a great guy!
What a guy! No, Gen V, really good. I don't feel like we should spoil it, but it's great. Like it's so bingeable. It's just got
100%.
one long story, and it's not a slow burn at all. It's always things that always happening. It's funny. It's also got the sort of The Boys typical sort of perverted sort of violence and just crazy stuff. Very crazy stuff.
From one crazy TV show to another crazy TV show that's been a bit longer running. I'm also halfway through the actual final episode of Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, I heard that ended really well. No, I never watched any of it.
I'm about halfway through.
Because as we said before, I'm not a child. I don't watch cartoons.
I know. I was like, do I bring it up? Is Matt going to shout at me
This is all
again?
a bit, by the way. I don't really watch many cartoons, but I don't have anything against them. I just happen not to.
So what Matt just said there was the bit.
Yeah, that's
he doesn't like cartoons for the bit. But yeah, very good. It's taken years and years and years and years. I think this
To be honest, I didn't realise it was still going.
Yeah, the final series.
How many series
like
were there?
Part 2, Part 3 or some shit like that.
Oh, okay.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Like The Walking Dead ended with like 3 parts of series, and then it went on.
Yeah.
And then it's going to carry on with spin-off with the same characters. It's like, well, it's still going on then, and it's just.
But it's so good. It's kind of in the same category as something like Cowboy Bebop, which is a go-to for me. If you want to try and introduce someone to this new form of media that I know is
2D animation's actually been around for quite a few years.
It's weird, but it's very strong. It doesn't have a lot of the tropes in anime that turn a lot of people off, like a pervert character. There's always like a weird sexual deviant that's just really hard to watch and is in it crops up way too often.
As someone who's watched The Boys and Gen V, I'm used to shows where every single character is that.
But no, very good, very good. Excited to actually watch the ending.
Cool. Well, if I have a free year of my life, I might give it a watch. Right, well, those TV recommendations were killer. Speaking of, we've just watched a new movie. Could you give us a summary of it, please?
So we have seen David Fincher's The Killer this week as our new film. Very new, in fact, that it's had a very limited release in cinemas.
Yes, and then it's on Netflix on Friday.
Friday, yeah. So we've very much struggled to actually catch this week, but we got there in the end. Killer is about a killer for hire, played by Mr. Fassbender, who doesn't have a name throughout. I think he just is known as the Killer.
He's just called the Killer, yeah.
And it starts off with him in Paris, and he talks a lot, and then he tries to do a hit that goes wrong, and that kicks off the plot. Is him.
Whoa! We're not talking about Le Samouraï yet. We're talking about the Killer.
And because he missed, there are repercussions.
Yeah, he does successfully shoot the man in the chest in Le Samouraï. He just gets seen because he does it in a very public way. Anyway, let's come back to the Killer.
And because he missed, there are some very dangerous repercussions to him and his family, which leads him on a trail of revenge to not only find out who did these things to him that I won't say, but also who set him up to do that and who he can get back on.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was pretty good. It's not. I wouldn't say it's typically my sort of film because it's there's not really any It's pretty straight. It's pretty just like serious action and serious sort of drama with behind the scenes organizations and people being all serious like that sort of John Wick, and also like loads of action, loads of things like this aren't really my sort of thing, and just like macho characters and but it was pretty good. But it's not, like I said, it's not something I would ever watch if I weren't forced to do a podcast episode of it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is so well directed and so well shot.
Oh, well, of course, it's David Fincher. That's part of why you're going to get something out of it. Like Mank, I hated, but I thought it looked stunning.
Yeah. So David Fincher, obviously Fight Club, Seven, Social Network. Matt's favourite film, Mank. It's based on a French graphic novel series by the same name.
The M is upside down.
And adapted by Andrew Kevin Walker. The DOP was Eric Messerschmidt, who did Mank.
I thought the lighting of The Killer was boring as hell.
The lighting of The Killer?
I thought it was really dull looking.
I had a note about that. I was going to say that there were some scenes that I was like, that's really cool.
Oh, it looks cool.
The scene that comes to mind is the one in Florida. So we're not going to spoil why. But the one in Florida where he goes to see the man about the dog. I was going to say that was lit just enough that you had enough information as an audience to understand what was going on that really set the tone and made use of those those practical in-scene lights. So like there's a telly that they use as a way to light them for a bit, or there's an open door into a bathroom that then gives them a bit more light. That you're kind of messing around with sources in the house rather than it just being lit. Just
that is very clever, actually. That's true. Yeah, I was meaning more like the colours and it was a bit flat. But in terms of the creativity of that, absolutely, that's very, very cleverly done. What's the guy's name?
The DOP, Eric Messerschmidt. He also did Ferrari, which is coming out soon. Something else that I liked as well. So a big kind of device for how this film is laid out is it's a world hopping story. So it starts in Paris where the hit goes wrong,
which is another thing that I don't really like about movies.
So it's a very simple way of keeping it moving. You're never in the same place twice other than his home, I think. But
I think that's right. Yeah,
I thought it was so quick, and I felt the editing was good. I thought that it was done by Kirk Baxter, who's done Gone Girl, Social Network, Mank. So just another like Fincher classic. And I think that showed. I don't think there was any time wasted. What he wanted on screen was what was shown. But like you said,
how many places did he go? It was like Paris, Dominican Republic,
Florida,
New Orleans, New York at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Chicago,
and then back to the Dominican Republic. But similarly to the second film we're going to talk to, I talk about it was very simple. There's not a lot beneath the hood going on. Right. The first scene,
and in fact, like you said, you mentioned like the main guy is just called the killer. Like very much like out of 10, protagonist. Basically, no character in this had names. Some of them did, but like a lot of like Tilda Swinton's character. What do they call her? She was like
the expert.
She was the something.
The expert?
It was something like that as well. Yeah, there was a bunch of characters who didn't have names.
Yeah.
It was very stripped back, almost like archetypal characters.
Yeah. And I think
it's mainly part of the reason why I wasn't too invested, because I didn't really know who they were, because we weren't meant to know who they were.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you said, kind of that underbelly world. Yeah, I think as soon as you go in that first scene, I'm sure you've seen it in the trailer. It's him in this unfinished building as he's scoping out the place he's going to carry the hit out on. And it's just him talking, like it's just a long monologue of
the trailer is literally a monologue, and then him
and watching that,
introducing what he does, who he is,
watching that it is you're right, it's essentially the trailer. Watching that, you're like, oh, okay, so this is very strictly who he is. He's going to be not that, and it was so like cut and dry that there weren't any twists in it. It was just as expected. You knew what was going to happen. It sets you up for one thing, and you get that at the end.
Yeah, it was
very straightforward.
Definition of a story arc is a character arc
of a film. It was a film.
Of a film. I think so. Yeah, it was. If I were to use a word to describe it, it would probably be film or maybe movie.
It had lovely Michael Fassbender as the killer.
I thought his accent sucked though. Like in his X-Men films where he's like meant to be American.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't work. I guess in X-Men it's not too bad because like Ian McKellen's accent also sucked. He was all over the place. Sometimes American, sometimes English. So I guess if he's playing a younger version of the same character. And also Eric Lencher's like German. But Michael Fassbender really can't do an American accent.
There weren't really any co-leads, anything like that. It was literally just him. No, and as he bounced from place to place.
He'd meet a person and then he'd meet another person and meet another person. Yeah.
Wish there was more Tilda Swinton. I know she's headed in this.
Every movie.
But Tilda Swinton's in it for maybe 2 scenes, one sequence, and then she doesn't come back again. And it's towards the end of the film, which is a shame. She doesn't even play the big bad.
I thought she would do. I thought there'd be like a twist that she was
the killer.
That she was the killer all along, and Michael Fassbender hadn't actually killed anyone. Now there's a movie like
that's a twist.
He thinks he's a hitman, but it's all blanks, and like he hasn't actually killed anyone. They're all alive.
He's the fool guy.
I don't know. Yeah, that's it. There we go.
So done. David Fincher, bill us.
Movie.
Let's talk about spoilers.
Right. I might as well just say now, I haven't actually watched the movie.
I knew you hadn't.
So
I knew
don't
you
spoil
had
it because I'll watch it on Friday. It wasn't showing anywhere in Birmingham. It was once and it wasn't free to go. It's out on Friday. I will watch it and I'll give my thoughts on it. So what I was going to do was I got up ChatGPT and I was going to type in all your questions and give an answer. And so the first thing I asked was, what do you think of David Fincher's new film, The Killer? And it just said, I apologise, but my knowledge was last updated in 2022, so I don't have any information on it. So I'm really sorry. I knew we needed to record the podcast. I was going to watch it yesterday and today. The nearest place it's showing is Dudley, and I don't want to drive all the way to Dudley to watch a film that's out on Friday.
Dudley sounds scary anyway, so I don't blame you at all.
It's
So welcome to our new segment called Joshua Reviews.
Sorry for betraying your trust. But it sounds like a good film.
Yeah, it's okay.
From what I've heard. The trailer was all right.
A lot.
But I do stand by the sentiment of it doesn't look like my cup of tea. But I will watch on Friday. Episode 5, I will say what I think.
It is a David Fincher film, but not one of his strongest films. I just don't think there's enough going on for it to be held to such a
I've heard barely anyone talking about it.
Yeah.
All the rest of his films, apart from, I think there's one which I can't even really remember much about. And then every single other one he's ever done is iconic.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest movies ever. Yeah. And this doesn't seem to be that.
So this is his second feature in a 4-year exclusive deal with Netflix. So that's why it's been such a struggle to actually see it in the cinema, which is a shame, because I think it does. I do like how
Netflix makes sure they do some theatre release. But yeah, no, it is a shame. Like Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm very glad. I mean, that's Apple, but I'm very glad they still, even though they're a streamer, were like, I know people want to. There's an audience for this. Let's do it.
Definitely.
But this was really hard to see.
I think it definitely wore its inspirations on its sleeve. The first scene, which I'm sure you'll agree when you see it, is very Rear Window. So it's him overlooking this courtyard in Paris onto a hotel, because it's him sat there and zenning himself and getting ready for this hit. He does he looks into different windows and sees people having sex and people smoking and people going about their business. So it's very voyeuristic.
Maybe I'll watch this movie then. Yeah.
And it all sets it up. As I said, it's that monologue from the trailer. So he's kind of checking his heart rate. I very much
got the impression that would be the opening of the movie.
And he's like, you need to never be invested and your heart rate needs to be lower than 60 BPM. Which at the end of the film, he's like
100.
Yeah, he's taken the Fitbit off, and it's all personal, and it's completely against what he verbally told us at the start of the film.
Yeah. Were they mentioned in the trailer something like, I don't know, he had a girlfriend or something? They did something too.
That's correct.
And so it's like, well, that's gonna make him be a better man by the end, I'm guessing.
So he's supposed to do this hit out on a French politician or something. But as he takes the shot, he's doing some kinky time with the dominatrix, and the dominatrix moves in the way, and she gets shot, so he misses. And it's the first time it's ever happened. But he's very calm, collected, and he goes back to his house in the Dominican Republic and finds that he's been broken into, and his girlfriend is in hospital. So that sets off his path of revenge, which is a very kind of American look at the story, especially in the lens of Le Samouraï, which we'll talk about later. So then he has to track down, he goes to his lawyer and finds out who the hitmen were to find them, and he kills his lawyer and his assistant. And then he goes to the man in...
I haven't seen the
movie. man in Florida, a big Kiwi guy, and kills him. And then he goes to Tilda Swinton, who's also one of the hitmen, and kills her in a scene, which is a very good scene, but I wish it was longer.
I will watch this on Friday, by the way. I know you're doing spoilers, but I will watch this eventually.
And finally, he scopes out, he finds out who put the hit out on him, and it's an American billionaire kind of guy. And he does this whole kind of secret heist to get into his room. But it kind of, that's the only surprise in the film, the only subversion, is that, have you seen the film Pig? The Nicolas Cage.
I know the film. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's very good.
Very, very good. Which is like this, but better. I would say. It's that revenge theme again, whereas in Pig, his pig gets stolen. Is that
like John Wick? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was framed. That's how it's advertised, as it's Nicolas Cage. He's a lonely man in the woods and his pig gets stolen, so watch him go and get revenge for his pig. But it's not that. It's not that at all. And the climax reflects it's not that. But the climax, this is very similar. He breaks into this billionaire's house and is why have you done this to me? Why have you hurt my girlfriend? And weird conversation, but doesn't kill him, which is a bit bizarre, as he has killed everyone else that's been linked to this up to the point of meeting the billionaire. So it is kind of a subversion, because you expect him to kill the guy, but he doesn't.
I don't, because I know how a 3-act structure works. So I wasn't expecting you to say that he killed. I was actually very much expecting you to say he didn't kill him. And I thought about it afterwards. I don't understand why he didn't kill him. I'm sure next week you can tell me your thoughts. That's how the 3rd act works. Yeah, but the 3rd act is, so they have to change their mind. Is the climax to kill him to get revenge. That's the point of the film. That's like the John Wick structure, I suppose. But if his character is about redemption, it isn't about redemption, and that's what you'll see. It is purely revenge. And I don't know if he doesn't kill him because he is a professional hitman, and the guy, like the billionaire, is a client. Whether he's still being professional, wants to stay in that world. That might be it. I'm not too sure. Well, I can't help you on that. The performances were okay. I thought Fassbender didn't have a lot to do, as I'm sure you've seen in the trailer. He plays a very zen character who's very professional and like isn't fazed by anything. So it's kind of very frozen. I'm frozen. You're back. Sick. You're back now. and he was frozen in his performance as well. Like he doesn't blink on screen at all, and to kind of get that like unnerving, otherworldly kind of. That's what everyone does when they want to. I know. When they want to seem weird, they just don't blink. I know, and you famously don't blink just naturally. I only blink. I blink loads to make sure people trust me. You just have your eyes closed the entire time. Yeah, I don't even open them because I want people to know that I can. I don't want to stare at them. I don't want to be rude. If someone looks at me, I never look them in the eye. Quite often, keep my eyelids completely shut. Yes, that's what he did. I thought he was very good at the physical side. I don't know how much of it was stuntman and how much of it was him, but I don't think like he sold the part, the weird serial killer bit. And I thought it was a very good. I know it's hard to do a modern take on like a hitman, because he touches on it at the start. You're always seen by everyone, so it's not like in Le Samouraï where you can just do a couple of train swaps and you're away from the police. You're being seen by everyone all the time, and I like that they address that in the first scene. I don't like how in these movies no one ever wears disguises. I want to see like a movie like this where everyone's just in like mad disguises and you don't even recognise the same actor. What, like, they never do that. Like the mask you pull off in Mission Impossible. Yeah, but like one that's actually in any way realistic. like a Groucho Marx. Like big nose, moustache and glasses. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. But I want like, Tilda Swinton in Suspiria, which is an old man. Yeah. That's like what I want, a hitman who's like Tilda Swinton, but an old man. And then you're like, oh, there's this old man character just murdered someone. Oh, look, it's Tilda Swinton murdered someone. And then you're like, well, hang on a minute, this is the same person. And then it's Tilda Swinton. I don't just want the Bob Dylan film. Was that her? Yeah. No, it's Cate Blanchett. But that's what you need. Like, I don't like how in all Hitman movies and all these, like, and John Wick, like, he always fights in a suit. It doesn't make sense. It's really hard to fight in suits. This is like, they have to look cool and, like, in a costume and all this. Like, the bloke in Le Samouraï was the most suspicious looking man I've ever seen in my life, but he has to look cool in the Hitman costume. Have you seen I Think You Should Leave? I've seen the first episode. What are you referencing with the one where he's doing like a prank show, does some shit name, and he goes into a mall, and they're like, "Hey, go over to that table and knock over the tray of food." And he's just got so much like fake head, fake muscles, something like that. Maybe you just blend it in. Yeah. I just want to see someone who is actually good at their job in one of these films. I don't want to see someone who just is there to look cool and whatever, because it's not cool. It's cool to sneak into somewhere and the audience doesn't even know where you are, and then, whoa, you've killed someone. What? How's that happened?
Yeah.
Don't know.
It tries very hard to make Fassbender cool in this.
Yeah, well, I don't find people who kill people cool. I think they're bullies. I think that's quite mean of him.
I think they're squares.
I don't think we should be glamorising it.
This is Fassbender's first or most recent film that's been released since Dark Phoenix. What a shame.
Really?
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix was shit. That was like 2019. That was ages ago.
Well, I know the
Waititi
film was recorded, wasn't it? The football one, but that hasn't come out yet.
Oh, but that was filmed, like 5 years ago. And always a great sign when they take that long to release a film.
And you love football as well, so I know you'll be like our resident pundit when we watch it.
Yeah.
Did you see the game
I love
the other day, actually?
The ludicrous display. I did, yeah. Well, I did. The trouble with Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
What was Wenger thinking, bringing Walcott on in the 90th? Ludicrous. But I think that's all I can talk about for The Killer. Anyway,
that's certainly all I can talk about.
I gave it 4 stars.
4 stars, well done. I will do a very brief review at the start of next episode.
That'll be your weekly roundup next week.
It will be. My weekly roundup will be The Killer. Right, I'm just going for a wee.
Our exquisite pairing this week, like a fine wine to a lovely cheese, is the French film from 60
something, that's for sure. 67
is Les Samouraï. Matthew Vivian, what's the plot?
Well, I have actually seen this one. So let me tell you the plot. So, the most suspicious looking man ever, a bloke dressed like the Incognito tab, like he is a hitman, right? He lives in an empty apartment with just a bird in a cage, which is a bit weird, but never mind. He's told, kill this bloke who has like a nightclub, I guess it is. It's more like a bar, really.
But it's a French one. But it's not just
French.
any bar nightclub. It's a French bar nightclub.
So everyone's smoking. So he walks into, it's really busy, it's fully open, and not that, could have been more busy, but it was like quite busy, and he well lit, the lights are all on and everything. He walks in dressed like Inspector Gadget, walks straight to the back, the staff only area. He walks into the office and he says, all right, how's it going? And then he shoots the man in the chest loudly, no silence, just blasts the man straight in the chest. And then he walks out the office and then he's surprised when someone is walking right next to him and they look each other in the eye. And then he just slowly walks away and she's like, well, you clearly just killed that man. Anyway, he just walks out. A barman spots him too. A few people spot him. He just walks out the room looking monumentally guilty, and the police investigating it. And so they round up loads of blokes in like trench coats and hats, and he's one of them. This is a very long summary. It's basically just him trying to not get caught, and also the people who hired him to do that hit are trying to get hit on him now, so he doesn't like squeal. And it's just him trying to get out of his problems.
Yeah, so it ends up with him not only being chased by the police, but being chased by his employers. All while being French and in France.
Yeah,
so
whipping out all these lurs and las. I didn't understand a word of it.
That's a very good summary. I really liked it. Very good film.
It was good.
Whereas I think the Killer is simple to a detriment. I think this is simple to a positive. I think
so.
It's
like scenes where, so like the bit where it's in the police station and they're saying like, was it this person? Ask this person, was it him? Maybe. Was it him? No. Was it him? Yeah, definitely. Like, and then they're like, you swap that hat, swap that coat round. That would normally be boring, but I loved it. It was great. And it was kind of good for tension because you were kind of like, well, it was clearly him. Like, will they dob him in? And when the woman who saw him is like, definitely not him. Well, why is she saying that? Because she knows it must be.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's good tension because we knew the stakes. We knew he was it, and we were sort of, repeatedly asking these questions and seeing if he's going to get caught for it.
So whereas kind of they touch in The Killer about how hard it is to get away with a hit these days, this is the complete opposite, and how easy it is to get away with a hit.
So easy. So easy.
It starts off, as you said, with him in his grey apartment with his bird, getting ready for a hit, and he walks down the road outside of his house, finds an open car, and then has like a big loop of khaki looking keys, and just tries them one by one very smoothly and efficiently in this car until like the fourth or fifth one fits and works.
In the past, did they just have like 50 car keys?
There's
probably about 100 on that
They
reel.
must have.
But that was a great scene as well, yeah.
He then pulls the car away, goes into a garage, and a fella changes his number plate. Then he goes and sets up his alibis, goes to his girlfriend's, who's having a secret affair with. Her partner doesn't know, and that comes up later. And he's like, by the way, I was here between these times. Then he goes to a casino, like a backdoor poker game with other criminals in a hotel. And he's like, I'll be here from 2. So he sets out his exact times, goes to the club, shoots this fella. Then he goes back to the girlfriend's apartment and walks out. So he has her boyfriend seeing him leave, and then he goes to the poker game. Yeah. And it's like the efficiency of this guy, you don't need to be told that he has done it many times before.
Oh, yeah.
That he's the guy you go to if you need a hit.
An opening monologue saying like,
you don't need to sit there for 10 minutes. Him telling you how good he is as a killer.
I got that immediately.
Yeah, and he seems surprised, doesn't he, that he's rounded up by the police, and that they, with his airtight alibi, that they then keep like hounding him and questioning him and trying to break apart what he's saying. The detective or the commissary says it's too good, the alibi's too good, and he's just got like an inkling that something about it's going to break and it's going to topple this house of cards.
If anything, I do think that was maybe, that didn't make a great deal of sense to me, because for the audience it's very, very obviously him, and for the suspects it would be very obviously him, but I don't know why the police would think it would be.
I don't know if it was just intuition, detective intuition, that something just seemed off about this guy. Like you said, he looks like, if you were to paint a suspicious man going around murdering people,
no one has ever worn a fedora and trench coat and like just gone about their day, just done a good thing. Like every single person wearing that is the guiltiest person ever. You're being sneaky in some way, which is weird. How like I guess in the past everyone must have dressed like that in order for it to be like generic clothes. Yeah. But he's the only person dressed like that.
Yeah, like jeans and a top, I guess. Jeans and a black top.
Maybe that's what like inspectors and hitmen wear these days.
Today, 2023, that's what they wear.
They don't dress like Michael Fassbender.
This was directed by Jean-Pierre Melville, and I'm not going to pretend I know anything else he's done, but it was very good, and I imagine he's done other really good things.
I assume he did. I saw that some of the cast members from this were in other ones of his films.
Alan Delon as Jeff Costello was very good, very stoic and effortlessly cool.
He was so cool.
Really cool.
Like, he didn't say all that much a lot of the time. He was just standing there, looked cool, walked cool costume, cool when he shot guns. What a guy.
The things he said were cool as well. Yeah. Like when he's being interrogated by the other hitman in his room, and the guy's like, so what do you think? Are you going to take this next job? And he's like, I don't talk to people with guns in my face. Yeah. And he says, is that a rule? No, it's a habit. And then he just knocks him out. He has him. But he was very good. I thought the head detective was very good as well. The two leads, Francois Perrier, and I thought Kathy Rosier as the pianist was very good as well.
Yeah. The what? The
what? Pianist.
Oh.
Don't be so rude. This is for families.
But yeah, good film. Very well shot.
Very well shot.
Like, it wasn't like flashy or anything. It was just like wides.
Yeah, a lot of zooms. Yeah. But it's not surprising that this is held at such high regard by a lot of directors. This clearly inspired The Killer, like even down to the wearing a stupid hat to blend in. What it does so well and so effortlessly. Even the small steps it makes to raise the stakes and change the story. So you start off with the hit, and then it goes into like the police procedural, and you're then introduced to the head detective and kind of get an understanding for his character. Then it goes on to him, onto Jeff Costello, our samurai, being followed, and it's kind of a bit paranoia and him being bugged.
Yeah, I love.
Then it goes
that
on
stuff.
to him being hit on by the people who hired him.
I loved the final act, like when he's trying to escape, and they've got like hundreds of undercover people trying to find him, like putting on their transmitters, like when he's on the train and trying to escape, and then that's all really good. And then in the end, he goes back to the club.
Even down to small little character moments, like the scene where the detective goes into his girlfriend's apartment and starts smashing the place up.
Yeah.
And is trying every trick under the sun to get her to admit the alibi was false, or the pianist, where her loyalties lie. Has she been paid off by the hitmen? Is she working with the police? She clearly saw that he was the one that killed the club owner, so why didn't she say anything? And I know they have a couple of meetings about that, and you're never quite sure where you lie.
I don't think we ever really got...
Yeah, I know he calls her towards the end, but she doesn't answer.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to the club, and the police are there waiting for him. So I kind of got the feeling that she was in on it with the police from the start, or something like that.
But
Whether
I don't see why she wouldn't just say it right away, like, yeah, it was him.
Yeah, the detective knew that the alibi was too tight, so wouldn't get away with it. So had to make this elaborate plan to follow Jeff Costello, and knew he was going to end up at the bar. One little moment at the end that I thought was beautiful and was so subtle was when he hands his hat to into the cloakroom, and then he gets handed a ticket to collect it afterwards, but he just leaves the ticket on the side,
leaves it,
and then goes in. Like what a great way.
That was good.
It's just so subtle and so smooth. He's not coming back. Yeah. He knows what's going to happen there. Great. Yeah.
He didn't even have any bullets in his gun at the end.
He didn't. He knew that his time was up as Jeff Costello the Samurai.
Silly name.
Yeah, I think this film should be cancelled for cultural appropriation.
Right. What are our ratings? Do you have any more to talk about? Because I feel like as much as I like the film, I don't have a great deal to say.
Yeah, go and see it.
I definitely recommend it.
Very good.
Yeah, it's really
very,
good.
very good. I gave it 5 stars.
I gave it 4.
Big 5.
4 still very good.
I know we joked before we called about an American remake because it's one of those bloody foreign films. You've got bloody do reading for this one. But it has been remade twice, and one of them was John Woo's The Killer.
Oh, that's a very original name.
A couple of the muddy story beats that we've mentioned, I think would probably be cleared up on a rewatch.
I think so.
I think it's just subtleties, because it is so subtle. A lot of the beats that it has, that I think we would kind of pick up on that on a second viewing. But so good. Please go out and watch it. Very good. And no samurais in it, as a disclaimer.
0. Yeah. No Japanese people whatsoever. Everyone's white.
It's like, the couple that tried to sue the director of Drive because they went to go and see it at the cinema and didn't feature much driving.
I was thinking you're going to say that that people are trying to sue for Yesterday because Anna de Armas is in like 2 seconds of the trailer and they cut that scene from the film.
So what would I take away as a part-time filmmaker, as an amateur filmmaker? I would take more from the Samurai, as I'm sure millions of other directors have before.
Yeah.
It's just it's so confident in what it does. It's so subtle, a lot of the points it has to make, and it's not overloaded with dialogue. What is said is what needs to be said.
No
like the first 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes is completely without dialogue, and the first line.
But it's like visual exposition. We learn everything we need to learn, and he doesn't need to say anything. We just see it, and that's a very, very good example of show don't tell.
And I think from The Killer, I really liked some of the lighting. I loved the silhouette shots. I would definitely carry that forward. That's probably it for me for the 2 films.
Cool. Have you ever made a assassin film before? Because I feel like everyone, when they sort of are a teenager or like in school or something, makes like an assassin thing.
I haven't, but I know you have.
Oh well, So I haven't like directed one, but when I was in 2014, I was probably about 15, 14, something like that. My mate George made one called The Art of Vengeance. I played an assassin who got chased around the Asda multi-story car park. And I also went to a couple of cafes in Bromsgrove. I think one of them blew up. And one of them had
How'd you pay for that?
I know, yeah, I'm bloody, yeah. It was a visual effect where, yeah, it exploded out and not one piece of debris, like nothing blew in the blast or anything, all stayed static. Yeah, there was a bit with like a hacker where like he's got a laptop and he goes like, I'm in. Like, it was, you know, all the classics. But yeah, no, unfortunately that's lost to time. I'd love to talk about it. I'd love to watch it again, but 'tis no more. But it's still on my IMDb and I wish it wasn't.
Just effortlessly cool. I think that's always...
Well, that's why I was cast.
Have you, other than being a super cool killer, have you got anything that you'd want to take away from the trailer of the killer?
The trailer of the
Samouraï?
Killer? I thought it was a little bit dark for me. I would maybe boost the colours a little, boost it up. The shadows of a bit.
Our double features. Science fiction double features for the week. Did you get these from ChatGPT?
No, the first one I did is Pulp Fiction, because it both features a dirty sex pervert getting murdered. Joshua told me that to say that one. As you know, I haven't seen the film, so I'm just going to take his word for it. And then I've also got The Godfather, which is when people start talking about these films, I will nod along as if I've seen it, but I haven't. Do you have any more for the killer?
I have The Killer and Prometheus for emotionless Fassbender performances. But only one of them features a version of himself teaching another version of himself to finger. That happens when he's teaching himself how to flute in Prometheus.
Oh, great, yeah.
And I would also pair The Killer with 500 Days of Summer, because they just love the Smiths.
I heard
that's a joke that you will get.
I saw the letterbox comments for reviews for the Killer
love
saying
the
Smiths. Yeah.
Every song is the Smiths. So I think that only came up because Morrissey is now in Fortnite. So it's now cool to like the Smiths again.
Sure, that's why he did it. Right, Le Samouraï. I've got Hot Fuzz, which is the guiltiest person imaginable was the killer all along. And
that's a good one.
And the other one is Dick Tracy, which is a movie about a character in a hat and trench coat and a man whose name is a slang word for a penis. Because there was the character of Wiener in this.
Oh yeah, that poor guy. I'm sure it means something really cool in French.
I think they said like Viner or something, but
I only got one for the Samouraï, and that was Less Samurai and Old Boy, and that's foreign films with bastardized American remakes.
Oh yeah,
which I'm sure you could also double bill those two.
You haven't seen the American remake of the Samouraï? It might be good.
I haven't seen the American Old Boy either.
Oh, I have,
and I don't really plan on it.
It's really not good.
What is Sholto Copley doing?
That was before I even knew who he was, but I think he's one of the. He works with Samuel L. Jackson, I think, in that. Samuel L. Jackson's terrible.
Yeah.
Like he's
and he rambles on about prawns the whole time, doesn't he?
Prawns, yes, he does.
The prawns mock.
Oh, yes.
Just too many prawns.
DVD of District 9. Right, what is next?
Our short film. So
Yay.
We couldn't find any David Fincher short films, or at least older David Fincher short films. I know he's done. He did one for Love, Death and Robots on Netflix, but we want to kind of mix it up. So any listeners out there, if you do have any short films you'd like us to talk about, please send them through. We'd love to watch them. But this week, we thought we'd go for another David and look at one of his short films. Mr. David Lynch.
David Lynch, wow. I'm gutted we couldn't do The Art of Vengeance, the assassin short film I was in, but it's no longer on YouTube. I don't have a copy. Yes. We did. What was it called? What Did Jack Do?
What Did Jack Do? Which I think not only directed by David, but is also kind of very thematically similar, about kind of a detective and talking to a suspect about a murder in a train station cafe.
Very David Lynch. He plays like both main David characters. He in the credits he was like in every department. He was like a carpenter. He did all of it. And it was very David Lynch in that it made absolutely no sense, and I'm still none the wiser as to what Jack did.
So David Lynch plays the detective who sits opposite a monkey, a talking monkey, also played by David Lynch. And he's interviewing him and trying to get to the bottom of a murder. But it's like it's a scene taken from from an old black and white detective film, from the middle of the film, where he's interviewing one of the suspects that you know more about, and you know context of the murder, and some sort of understanding. It's like you've just seen that middle scene.
But yeah, the joke is that we as the audience have absolutely no idea why he's making all these weird references.
Yeah, talking about like why would you trust an orangutan?
Yeah,
the monkey's girlfriend is a chicken. So you're always playing catch up as the audience, trying to understand what they're talking about, any of the context,
and it just keeps getting like crazier and crazier. And
what was your Letterboxd review? I saw it was one sentence.
I think I just wrote like, I like the singing monkey, because at one point near the end he just starts singing a song, and I was like, I love this. This is great. But to be honest with me, I thought, because it's like 15 minutes long, I thought at the start I was like, talking monkey. And so I liked that, and then it sort of was like, oh, he's still talking, and I still don't know what's going on. And it kind of went on for a bit long, and I was like, yeah, I've got the joke now. Like, it's a monkey talking about stuff which I don't understand. Long. And then at the end he started singing, I was like, this is brilliant, and then it ended. So I thought it was like, it would have been a great 4-minute short, but I think a 15-minute one was a little bit too much.
I mean, it even comes with like the bad sets, bad costumes, awkward pauses in between lines of dialogue, like bad.
But there's a lot of that in like David Lynch stuff, is deliberately bad stuff, like bad CGI he has, and like, and I don't really know why he does. Or just
Twin Peaks being shit.
Yeah.
Just everything about Twin Peaks.
So I don't actually know David Lynch that well. I mean, we studied Mulholland Drive in school, and I've seen it since as well a few times.
I love Mulholland Drive.
It's pretty good, yeah. And I've seen The Elephant Man.
Eraserhead.
I've seen Eraserhead, but that's it. I mean, I haven't seen Twin Peaks. I haven't seen his Dune. I will do, but I don't want to get the shit Dune to ruin the good Dune for me. I'd rather watch.
Yeah, exactly the same. I want to read the
first.
book and watch the second one before I watch the David Lynch one. And there's a documentary about a third Dune that was never made.
Oh God, what's his name? That guy who did that, Jodorowsky.
Oh.
No, I've heard it's a very good documentary, but I haven't seen it. Because I love Lost in La Mancha. That's a similar sort of documentary about a film which didn't work out. Have you seen that?
No, what's that about?
It's Terry Gilliam was making a film called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, with starring Johnny Depp and some old French man, and then the behind the scenes of the film was like, film behind the scenes and like in the offices and stuff, and with the auditions and building the sets, and then every single thing went wrong during production. There was like flash floods. The guy playing Don Quixote, like old man, he had loads of problems, which means he couldn't like ride a horse, or he was always injured. He couldn't, and just every single thing went wrong with it. And then in the end, it was cancelled. And so it's basically what was originally the film's behind the scenes turning into a documentary about how when everything goes wrong in film. And we were showing it in uni, just about like before we did our final year film, saying like everything will go, loads of things will go wrong. Hopefully we'll get to these extremes, but like it's really interesting. I've seen it a few times. And then years later, like that was in like, I don't know when, like 95, something like that. And then in 2014-ish, he actually made the film. It was very different to what he originally planned, but he made like a version of that film with Adam Driver, and the old guy was played by Jonathan Pryce. Not very good.
Oh.
It's okay. Lost in La Mancha is a much more interesting film than the film he actually made in the end.
What a shame.
But that's much like Jodorowsky's Dune. Like, it's a documentary about film that didn't come about. Have you got more to talk about What's Jack Do?
It was David Lynch making a David Lynch film. He's made it. He very clearly made it for himself. Something that he wanted to do. It's not like
that's all he really does now. He does those weather reports, which are just he finds it funny. His fans find it hilarious. But
or David Lynch making quinoa.
Yeah,
great. It's not like the other shorts we've seen where maybe they're younger directors trying to prove a point and
this
is
get
their work out there. This is
who's sort of become a parody of himself at this point. I mean, because he used to make like really great films that are incredibly surrealist, but they had so much to say. Like, believe it or not, Eraserhead was his most spiritual film. And also, but that's got a lot to say on like parenting and when you're not ready. And Elephant Man's got like being human and treating people right, and Mulholland Drive's Hollywood. Like, this has nothing to say really. It's just a man talking to a monkey.
It's just a bit silly,
and it's got a bit silliness and the surrealism of his previous work, but it doesn't have any of the depth. So it gives you a little laugh.
I'd agree.
But no
I'd
more
agree.
than that.
Yeah. If you like Funny Talking Monkey, watch the first couple of minutes and then watch him sing at the end, and then you've completed the film.
I'm with you on that.
We didn't get any comments or anything last week, which is quite sad. I know we have a lot of recurring listeners. I spoke to a couple in person last week, and I know they're kind of on the nice edge about commenting, or I would like to promote maybe doing a voice recording, because we'd like to play some voice note messages.
That would be good.
That could be quite fun. So if anyone has any voice notes that they can send to either Matt or myself, if you know us personally, or send it to us on Instagram, we'd love to play it on air and discuss any feedback, any thoughts you have on our films. Well, I've also been given a couple of recommendations for double features that maybe we could look at for a special over Christmas. The biggest name I've been given is the Hellboy remake, featuring
David Harbour.
Is it David Harbour?
Yeah.
Famously bad.
Yeah.
So that could be quite a fun special one to do.
I've never even seen the Ron Perlman ones, but I've heard they're much better.
They are great. They're so good.
I like Guillermo del Toro. I just haven't seen them. I didn't pull my weight this week. But next week, I know loads about Marvel. I can talk about it. Week after, I'm Hunger Games Encyclopedia. Let's go.
So next week we will be looking at the Marvels, featuring the lovely Brie Larson, so I'm sure we can make some clickbait out of that.
Absolutely.
We can get a title or a thumbnail up about how she's destroying cinema or some shit.
How it's an absolute woke-a-thon.
Would you like to say what we're double billing it with, or do you want to keep that a secret? Do you want to do a hint? Give us a line from the film.
Gordon's alive!
Great, that's really good.
That's the plan. I love that film. I've seen it so many times. That'll be the first film we watched on here that I've seen before.
So thank you very much, Matt, for joining us.
You don't have to thank me. I've done nothing for you.
And thank you, AI, for all of Matt's responses today.
Yeah, which they didn't help out at all. Because
could you ask ChatGPT what they think of our podcast?
I can. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I still got it open. Right. What do you think of the Slated Double Features podcast? I don't have personal opinions, but the Slated Double Features podcast has received positive feedback for its insightful discussions and analysis of paired films. Many listeners appreciate the in-depth exploration of themes and connections between the movies featured in each episode. Well done, lad. Nailed that.
Wow. Can that count as our letter from this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for writing in. Much appreciated. Very kind words from you there.
Thank you, as always, AI.
And I've changed my mind. I love AI.
I think it's great, yeah. I don't know what the creator was talking about. Actually, the creator was pretty pro-AI in the end.
Lovely. So that's our week. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one.
It's okay. I will see you on the next one. Is that the end?
That's the end.